Welcome back everyone. Like we talked about during our last video, Rob Pelinka and Darvin Ham gave us plenty of insight during their 2023-24 Lakers season introduction, and I think we were all pretty eager to hear what they had to say about the team's new additions. Now, thankfully they were able to retain a majority of their core from last season, which was significantly more important in my opinion, but the new additions are definitely important here as well, and everyone is wondering how they will now utilize them, with that being particularly true of Christian Wood. Their latest signing during free agency, he had been on their radar for well over 2 full months, but now with him finally being a part of their team, they will have to figure out the best way to incorporate him within their rotation. And while some believe that to be through their starting lineup, it really doesn't matter that much. What it will really come down to here is who they play him with, the type of role they have in fill for them, and then of course how much they actually play him within their rotation. All of that is yet to be seen, but we definitely got an interesting preview to it from Darvin Ham during their season introduction, and I'll let you hear about what he had to say.
He's a wonderful kid. I think he's a kid that's been kind of misunderstood, and he understands that I'm gonna be consistent. I try to pride myself on being a consistent human being every day, and I think just that stability from myself, my coaching staff, everyone in the building, Rob, is going to help him, and he knows it's just a 3-step process. Like I saw how he grinded through the G League and all of that, and worked his ass off to establish himself as a formidable NBA player. As an NBA player, then once he got his opportunity, he became a formidable NBA player. Now that last piece is he'll tell you he's never been to the playoffs, and he and I talked and said now it's time for you to show that your stats that you put up and your impact can impact winning. And winning at the highest level. So he's excited about that. He's excited. His teammates have totally embraced him, and I'm looking for, a lot of big moments out of him this season. And yeah, definitely that's what training camp is for, in my opinion. Like, we're going to tinker and entertain all different sorts of lineups, whether it's small ball, whether it's going big. If we have Austin at the point, or Torian at the 2, Rui at the 3, or Brown at the 3, and Christian and AD. Like it's been such a joy to come in and look at this team as it's currently constructed and just visualize all the different things we can do with it and the type of players that we have and people. Furthermore, like, these guys are open for whatever we want to try and whatever they want to attempt, or we want to attempt to try to make work. So through the course of training camp, we kind of it was already done at Bronze minicamp, just a variation of different combinations of players, and that'll continue through training camp, and we'll land on what we need to land on, but we'll have several different lineups that we can throw at opposing teams for sure.
Definitely a lot to take away here, but we'll try our best to break down everything they talked about regarding Christian Wood, playing him with Anthony Davis, along with their rotation in general during today's video, and then how they'll translate to the regular season. But without further ado though, let's dive right into it, and we'll begin by talking about what Darvin Ham said regarding Christian Wood becoming a winning player for them. And if you have been keeping up with my channel for a while now, that's been something that we've talked about plenty of times with Christian Wood. The guy puts up incredible numbers for a modern day big man, but does it truly translate to winning? It's really hard to tell with the teams that he's played for lately. All of them have either underachieved or simply were not good to begin with, and that has left many questioning if he's simply been caught in the middle of all that, or if he himself heavily contributed to it. And after you gain the title of a guy who only cares about putting up numbers, it can be rather difficult to get rid of, especially when you don't have any playoff production to point to back it up. And I really loved how blunt Darvin Ham was with that too. According to himself, he already told Christian Wood that it's time to prove that his stats can translate to winning, and not only winning, but winning at the highest level. They're not simply looking to make the playoffs here, they are looking to win the whole damn thing, and anything short of that will very likely be viewed as a failure given that they stay healthy. And if they do in fact make it that far, or really anywhere near it, Christian Wood will have to make a noticeable impact on it in order to change his narrative. There's really no other way for him to do it at this point. And no matter what kind of role that Wood fill within their rotation, he cannot afford to put himself before the team here. That would be a one-way ticket for him being out of the league next season. At the end of the day, we all know they can put up numbers, but now it's time for him to contribute to winning. He needs to make a positive impact on the court during his minutes regardless of how many of them he gets, and I'm glad that Darvin Ham has made that a point to him too. However, the other part of that will be how Darvin Ham incorporates him within the rotation. He talked about tinkering and entertaining all different kinds of lineups within the rotation, many of which could end up including Christian Wood. He referred to playing both big and small ball at times, and that will greatly affect where Christian Wood will be playing at. Beginning with big lineups, that would likely mean pairing him on the court with Anthony Davis or Jackson Hayes, both of which could work during certain matchups. And I really think that will be the key for them here as well. Knowing when to go either big or small will be the way to keep Christian Wood effective. He can play at center when there's not a whole lot being required of him as a rim protector or post defender, and then he can play big when he's not being required to match up with a mobile power forward. A lot of people are looking forward to the Anthony Davis-Christian Wood pairing, but I'm not sure they'll be able to utilize it on a game-to-game basis. I mean, maybe in limited minutes they could, but it will heavily depend on who they're matching up with. If they're matching up with a bigger team like Memphis, then yeah, I'm sure they'll be able to utilize it fairly often. In fact, that would likely be the best option for them here. But then when they're matching up with a perimeter-orientated team like Golden State, who is heavily known for off-ball movement and playing small ball, I'm not sure that lineup would still be effective, nor would I be willing to push my luck with it either. I feel like far too often we tend to think of a rotation as a set thing. It should really never be that way. One game you might utilize a certain lineup combination for 10 to 15 plus minutes on the court, but then the next game it might not even be worth playing for more than a couple. And while I think he did a pretty good job of this throughout the postseason, Darvin Ham cannot afford to become stagnant with that during the regular season, and especially now with a guy like Christian Wood. I'm not sure I'd outright call him matchup dependent, but he certainly can be depending on how you plan to utilize him. He's not a great defender after all, and he can end up looking pretty bad out there if you're not putting him in a good situation. And even with Anthony Davis out there with him, that simply won't be enough during certain matchups. A two big lineup can definitely work for them, but it's not something they can turn to on an every game basis with Christian Wood. Because if they do, then that will likely lead to him getting exposed, and the more that happens, the more likely it is for him to be viewed in a negative light. I truly am rooting for Christian Wood, but both we and Darvin Ham need to temper our expectations with them. I would much rather have a productive 15 to 20 minutes of Christian Wood, rather than empty 30 minutes of him being utilized incorrectly for a majority of it. However, despite the risk here, I love the fact that they have a ton of options. Darvin Ham referred to it, but they have plenty of lineup combinations they can play around with, and that will be a luxury for them if utilized correctly. Again, everything really comes down to matchups here, and I think it'll be fun to watch them go both big and small depending on their opponent, which they definitely do have the ability to switch between. In my opinion, they are built for basically every single matchup, and that's something that very few teams would qualify for, though it's all about their ability to recognize when they should alter between them. Now, they will eventually trim down the rotation a little bit, but the freedom they have with their many different options will always be valuable to them, and that's something that Darvin Ham has already let be known. Whether we're talking about Christian Wood here or not, they have a number of different combinations they can turn to on a game-to-game basis, and in my opinion, that should help put everyone on their team in the best situation possible every game, and therefore lead to them being viewed as quote-unquote winning players. With all of that being said though, what do you guys think? From a broad perspective here, how do you think Darvin Ham will end up utilizing both Christian Wood along with the rotation in general? Comment your thoughts down below. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and turn on notifications to get notified right away when I drop a new video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.